Hello and welcome everybody to this evening's webinar or investor Q&A with Matt Shales from MediCann Health. My name is Temin. I'm one of the campaign managers here at Birchal. So Matt is back on Birchal for round two, and I'm so excited to hear all about the journey of MediCann Health, which is one of Australia's most diverse medicinal cannabis companies. Before we get started, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners from the land from which I'm beaming to you today. Birchal is based on the lands of the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin nation, and we pay our respects to elders past, present, and emerging. So as the licensed intermediary for the offer, Birchal Financial Services is working with MediCann Health on their upcoming crowdsourced funding offer. So what is crowdsourced funding, you may ask? Crowdsourced funding, or you might know it as equity crowdfunding, is a relatively new form of fundraising in Australia that allows startups and small businesses to raise capital from a large number of smaller investors or retail investors and wholesale or sophisticated investors through an online platform, which is Birchal. So instead of seeking funding from traditional sources such as banks or venture capitalists, companies can turn to the general public, often their communities, to raise money in exchange for equity in their business. It's pretty cool, right? The information and discussion in this webinar is for informational purposes only and should not be considered as advice or a recommendation to invest. Please do your own research, always consider the offer document and the general CSF risk warning before investing. And there's plenty more information over at birchal.com, which you're more than welcome to read. So the way that today's session is going to run, Matt's going to take us through an awesome presentation. It will be approximately 15, 20 minutes, we'll see. And just all about MediCann Health, where they've come from and what they're looking to do with the capital raise. And then we'll switch over to the Q&A session. So if you look at the bottom of your Zoom screen, you'll see that little Q&A bubble there. If you have any questions during today's session, which I'm sure you have plenty, please just pop them in the box as we go along, and then we'll answer them during the Q&A time at the end. And it's good to know that today's session will be recorded. So if you have to jump off early, we'll send that recording around afterwards. You can share it with friends or whoever you think might be interested as well. So without further ado, Matt, I will hand over to you.
Thanks for that. Hi, everyone. Thanks for taking the time to join. Really excited to be able to present to you guys and share a bit about what we've been doing, what we plan to do, and some highlights of the company. So we'll get straight into it. So a bit about who we are. So MediCann Health was established in 2019 by myself and Dr. Luca De Prado. It really all started with a vision of improving the quality of life of people in need using reliable and affordable cannabis medicines. Back when it was legalized in 2016, it was a hard kind of new industry to get involved with. It was hard to access, very expensive. So we just thought, let's try and utilize our knowledge on cannabis and the plant and our compassion and try and bring affordable, reliable medicines to people in need. And I actually first started by getting jobs with other cannabis companies. I didn't have all the corporate experience they're looking for, I guess. So I actually had to find someone to get legal experience with the cannabis plant. And I was searching online and found Dr. Luca, who was doing his PhD at the time. And so I stalked him for a while. He ignored me for about 6 months, kept stalking him, saying, please let me help you take some data on your plants. And then I could actually put it on a resume to try and get a job. So he brought me in and we're helping each other do the PhD. And we thought, why don't we just start the company? I think we've got the cannabis side of things covered and we can figure out the rest as we go. A little bit naive, but we're getting there. So that's how it all started 4 years ago now. Again, the vision here was just to be known as a nice, reliable, genuine cannabis company. So we're working very hard to be known as that in the industry, and we think we're getting there at the moment, which is great. So a little bit about the business. So MediCann Health, the parent company, we're involved in the medicine supply and development. So our brands are Marley and Bob. And we also import and supply the Ananda brand. We don't own that, but we have the rights in Australia to sell that one. And so Ananda are actually one of the largest CBD companies in the world and have tens of millions of dollars of clinical trial data. So we're very, very proud to have partnered with them and leverage the amazing work they've been doing and bring it to Australians in need. So really proud of that partnership. And that's how we kind of got the ball rolling, started revenue generation, and then we were able to kind of get our own brands going. So 3 brands that we're involved with, Marley, Bob, Ananda. We also do clinical trials. So I'll touch more on this a little bit later, but concussion is a main focus for us, motor neuron disease and Parkinson's as well. So I'll touch more on that soon. And we've also got over-the-counter products or non-prescription products such as foods, wellness, skincare, pet care, through our other brands, Hemp Brothers and Endoscent. And again, I'll touch on them again soon. We've also got a licensed hemp farm in WA. Now, the reason for this, we're not doing much with it at the moment. It's just a little bit of R&D on the side, some strain development, and then really holding onto that license until hopefully they change a law which can allow us to utilize the full plant from that license. So right now, we actually bury the hemp flower, the CBD flower, and just utilize it for seed or industrial purposes. But with a small change in regs, like they did in the US the other year, it would allow us to actually have a new industry, I guess, an over-the-counter, nutraceutical, non-THC kind of hemp side of things. So we've got the license there as a just on the side, ready to go if they do change that law, but it's not taking any resources away from us right now to have that on the side. We've also got white labeling services. So some of our ingredients and IP we have is amazing, and definitely around terpenes, things like that. That's not our core focus. And so other companies actually want to utilize this from us. And so we white label it for them and they can sell those products and we get royalties and things like that. But I'll touch on some of the main bits about our trials and other products soon as well. So also under MediCann Health, we own MediCann Clinics. It's its own company, but 100% owned by MediCann Health. So when you do invest in MediCann Health, you're getting everything. There's no separate bits of the company that aren't involved. You're getting the same shares that I've got. It's, no games there. It's just we're all getting shares in MediCann Health, which has everything. So we own MediCann Clinics, one of Australia's most affordable cannabis clinics. It offers both face-to-face appointments and telehealth appointments. So we've got doctors Australia-wide, and it's really a good process, the telehealth side, because we can see patients literally every single corner of the country, even Cocos Islands, Norfolk Islands, place like that. And literally the doctor can do it from the comfort of their own home. So really low overheads. We're able to help anyone in the country without actually any rent or overheads like that. So, and it was quite lucky actually in the last few years. Maybe lucky is not the right word when we're talking about COVID, but that opened up the doors a lot to telehealth, obviously with lockdowns and things like that. So perfect timing for us to get involved in that and really open the door to be able to see many, many patients without needing many clinics around the country. So yeah, really, really useful thing there. And we've more than doubled in the last 12 months, going from 3,000 patients up to last year to now 7,500 patients this year. So scaling quite quickly there, and we have the ability to keep on scaling. So at the moment, we've got a team of 15 doctors, nurses, and admin all around the country and continually growing. So really exciting space there. And the clinic's a really good way. So one, it's good for us to be able to prescribe our products if it's needed for the patient, many other brands' products as well. But also it gives us a bit of an in to the doctor. So a doctor might not want to get into medicinal cannabis. Their patient comes to us. We help their patient with it. That patient goes back to their doctor for other ailments and their doctor can see how much it's actually helping, and then they want to reach out to us and learn how to prescribe. And that's when I can chat to them about our brands and get them prescribing our medicines through their own clinic as well. So it's a really good way to get a backdoor into the doctors without actually having to buy them lunch and all those kind of things. So yeah, really useful there. And also it's great to be able to help patients in need as well. So really proud of what we've been able to do there and the growth we've had there to date. Now, clinical trials is a big area for us. So I guess I'll touch on it a bit. It's quite a unique scenario. We can be prescribing these medicines without clinical trials. Normally, you'd need to go through years of clinical trials, tens of millions of dollars, have the product registered before it can be prescribed. But we're very lucky that with cannabis, they've got what's called the Special Access Scheme and the Authorised Prescriber Scheme, where we can actually prescribe these medicines that haven't gone through trials. It's a couple of extra steps, a couple of extra applications and things like that, but still we can prescribe these medicines. So we're able to actually collect data in real time, utilize all that, figure out what is and isn't working, and find the perfect formula before spending the pretty expensive costs on trials. So we're in a lucky spot there. Instead of inventing the formula and seeing if it works, we can give people medicine and figure out if it works and then put it through trials. So yeah, very unique there. We're quite lucky there. And so concussion is one of our areas that we're focused on. We've actually already completed a 2-year preclinical trial. That was with Parent Institute and Curtin University here in WA. So when we say preclinical, that's on animal models. And we really had to do that because we did need to actually cut open the brain to look at what was going on. And we can't really do that with humans. So we're able to get a lot of safety data and then a lot of really useful data that we couldn't get from humans. And this is actually a world first in regards to looking at specific terpenes and cannabinoids. So I'll touch a little bit on what they are soon as well. But so we had a world first trial on this and it actually had amazing results. We tested 4 different formulas and they all actually brought the brain back down to pre-concussed levels. So when we looked at a perfect brain with no concussion, Then there was a brain that was concussed. Inflammation of the brain was up here. All these other formulas that we gave the concussed brain, it brought it down to a better level than the brain that wasn't even concussed. So it was pretty remarkable. And that's when we're looking at neuroinflammation and also things like balance and memory, things like that. Now, on concussion, I already know we can help people. We have been helping many people with symptoms down the track. So they've been concussed a few months ago. They've got nausea, migraines, and things still coming. We can easily get on top of those with the right products. But my hope for these trials is to actually address it right then and there. So they get concussed, they get their medicine at that point. That actually prevents the damage occurring. It stops the oxygen loss. It stops the inflammation of the brain or prevents it. So that damage doesn't occur. So those follow-on symptoms aren't actually there. So instead of treating symptoms down the track, I'd like to prevent them altogether. So it was really, really actually amazing results we got. Now, the next stage of that is human trials. So we're going to be pushing that onto an observational trial through MediCann clinics. And then from that, we'll move on to the phase 1, 2, 3 trials, which is all about product registration. And that's our end goal for this, is product registration. So if we get a medicine registered on the ARTG, like every other medicine that we normally get prescribed, it opens the door for things like PBS subsidies, which is where the government subsidizes most of the cost, and we only pay $38, $40 for the medicine. And it also gives us IP that we can actually either license out to other companies around the world as their medicinal cannabis industries legalize. So a lot of IP generation and creates value for the company of why would be an acquisition target. If we don't have IP, it's going to be hard hard for us to sell ourselves to another company. So generating these kind of IP product licensing really makes us an attractive takeout opportunity. So concussion is a big area we're working on there. We've also signed up ex-NRL player James Graham. And so he was actually the captain of the English NRL team. And so he's been a really good ambassador for us as well. So really excited to have him on board, and we're going to be continuing to add new people as we go. Now, other trials we're looking at doing is Parkinson's disease and motor neuron disease. That's actually my grandparents that's our clinic there, Dr. David, and my grandparents on that couch. And yeah, my grandpa's brother and sister, one of them had Parkinson's and one of them had motor neuron disease. And so I've actually seen firsthand the struggles that they go through. And now when I talk about treating these conditions, it's not curing it. We're not curing Parkinson's or motor neuron. It's actually just getting on top of the symptoms and improving the quality of life. So things like the tremor, the movement that they go through, pain, sleep issues, rigidity, things like that. So just really improving the quality of life and also slowing the progression of the disease. That's what we're trying to kind of prove with these studies as well. So the use of funds, some of the use of funds for this crowdfund is for the clinical trials, and we wanted to continue the concussion and then start our Parkinson's and motor neurons. So hopefully we can get going with those at the end of this year or early next year. And again, there'll be observational trials through our clinic. They're just unmet areas. For concussion, there's no medicine at all for concussion. There's over 200,000 concussions in Australia every year that we know of, and they literally get told to go home and rest. Not only that, they think they're feeling better because the headache's gone, but we're not really sure what's going on down the track with things like CTE, when we get anxiety and depression happen 10 years later. So there's lots of unknowns in these areas, but we're really trying to address that. So it's an exciting area that we're working on, and a lot of people can be helped in all three of these areas. Now, when I talk about that as well, they're unique conditions we're trying to address. With medicinal cannabis, pain, sleep, anxiety are the three main areas we treat. So they're obviously symptoms of many things, but they're the three most common areas we treat and getting amazing results. But we're trying to find some unique areas as well, such as these. Now, as I mentioned before, we've also got some non-prescription products under the company. So we own the brands Hemp Brothers and Endoscent. Now, under Hemp Brothers, we've got food products, skincare, pet care, and capsules. So things like hemp seeds, hemp seed flour, hemp seed protein. The skincare, we've got bruise balms, tattoo balms, soothe balms. Pet care, we've got our bottom right little picture here, little hemp meal topper for dogs, hemp seed oil for dogs. Hemp seed capsules, hemp seed turmeric capsules, and then also terpenes under the Endoscent brand. So the middle picture with the yellow background, that's our terpenes. Now, terpenes are aromatic compounds, so they're smells. So in all the plants, they've got a smell to them, and it's the terpenes that create this. Now, cannabis has this as well. So terpenes are a very important ingredient in cannabis, and that's what creates the different effects such as sedation or energy. So you might have a product, the exact same amount of THC, one makes you sleepy and one makes you energized. It's actually these terpenes that are creating this different effect. And we've got a partner in Israel, that a world leader actually in the research side of things in Israel, that we utilize for some of our medicines. And then once we realized there was actually an over-the-counter space for this, for terpenes on their own, we thought, let's do that as well and bring some reliable, affordable products to the market. So our terpenes are the most affordable on the market, but also some of the most science-backed. So some of ours have gone through clinical trials. Our pain one beats steroids at anti-inflammatory properties, which is remarkable. It's just an over-the-counter product, no prescription needed. So it's really good on their own, but also in combination with cannabis. So we're actually targeting pharmacies to stock these and utilize it in conjunction with cannabis prescriptions. So let's say a Parkinson's patient gets prescribed a THC oil morning and night for their tremor. It's working really well, but during the day, it's sedating them a little bit and they don't like that. Not a problem. Stay on that THC product, and now we'll give you our Uplift terpene blend to help turn that a bit more energizing through the day. Or try and, so that's getting rid of a side effect, I guess, or enhance a medical benefit. So it's helping, the cannabis script's helping, but it could be doing better for the sleep. So let's introduce the sleep terpenes as well. So it gives pharmacists a little bit of a extra tool in the belt to customize people's medicine regime. So we're getting some good results there as well. Another use of funds for after the raise would be to really get some good sales teams going behind these products too. So that's a little bit of the over-the-counter or the food and wellness space that we've got. That's not our core focus. So yes, we generate revenue here. We make sales, we've got great products, but for me, our core focus is medicines. Obviously, they do all fit in. It is great when I'm even at a pet store talking to people. We end up talking about the clinic. We end up talking about medicinal cannabis, but we don't let it take us away from our core focus and distract us. Now, a little bit about our traction to date so far. So since our crowdfund last year, where we raised $1 million through Birchal, which was amazing, we've actually managed to double our growth from $1.3 million revenue to over $3 million this financial year. So it was 131% growth there year on year. At the clinic, as I mentioned before, we've also had 150% growth in patient numbers, going from 3,000 patients to 7,500 patients. And we've also managed to get ourselves on the Australian Financial Review Fast Starters list for this year. So it hasn't been published yet. That'll be the end of November, but they've let us know that we made the top 100, which means out of all the new companies in the last 5 years, we're actually in the top 100 fastest growing companies based on our revenue growth for the last 3. So very, very proud achievement of the team. Yeah, really, really happy with that. Can't wait to be able to share that with everyone. Now, with this graph on the right, it's worth noting, obviously, 2024, we're not even halfway through the financial year yet. So this might look like that graph's not going up as much as it could or should. That's because we're only just getting started. So we've, experienced month-on-month growth, continuing to be profitable as well, which is worth mentioning. There's not many cannabis companies that are actually profiting at the moment. So really proud to be able to run a lean ship whilst also having great revenue growth as well. Actually, it's also worth mentioning, I have not repped to a doctor in years. I can't keep up with the growth. And the last thing you want to do with the medicine is run out or sell out. We've actually been making sure that we don't go too quick too soon. So these kind of numbers, $6 million in revenue to date, that's me trying to keep a lid on it. So we've actually just now secured a 5-year, $24 million exclusive supply agreement. So it's really going to allow us just to get out there and sell as much as we can and not worry about running out. Now that deal is for one flower, and that's pretty much the one flower that's generating a lot of this revenue for us. So as soon as we can scale that further, I can't wait to see how that goes. And we're also introducing many new products to the market as well. So we just introduced 4 more flowers, a THC oil, a THC vape, and a CBG range as well, which I'll touch on again soon. But my point on that is, yes, amazing growth whilst we're trying to actually keep a lid on it. We're going to scale rapidly soon as well. Some other highlights, which I just mentioned. One was the $24 million exclusive agreement. You might have seen that in the news over the last couple of weeks. It's actually the largest agreement in Australian history for cannabis. And it did make global news, which was exciting to get the name out there. As I mentioned earlier too, we're profitable. I believe we should always be profitable. I've never had a loan in my life. I don't spend money we don't have. For me, it's about spending money on making money. I don't just go and get flights around the world if we don't need it. I've literally up until last year, my kitchen bench was the office. We only just moved into this office after last year's raise. So I do also know when it's time to not be a stinge and make sure we can get growth going, but I don't waste money. It's important for me to really protect the shareholders' value and spend every dollar as best we can. You know, the hemp farm that we had, I grew 50,000 plants there and it cost me $1,000. And that's because I went down there with a tractor myself and got my hands dirty. That was millions of dollars of flour. So yeah, I am proud of that. We don't waste money, which is why we're able to be profitable. Another little highlight was a collaboration with Beyond Distilling, a beverage company or distilling company here in WA. We're actually making a terpene-infused gin with them. So we're going to be making that one of the rewards as well, actually, for people that invest. They're going to get a nice bottle of our new gin. So I'll keep everyone posted on that. We also secured an exclusive agreement for some certified organic flour from New Zealand, our friends in Puros. This will be the first certified organic flour on the market. Very excited for that one. That should be landing any day now in the next few weeks. I'd say we should be able to release that. And then also distribution side of things, we've actually increased it by 500%, getting 5 more distribution partners on board. So that's getting our medicines in front of more doctors, pharmacists, and patients. So again, the growth that we've talked about previously, that's with one distribution partner, no repping, just word of mouth alone. So we're really now starting to scale up, and with the use of funds as well, we're going to put that to a sales and marketing team and a support team to really facilitate the next growth phase. Also, you might have seen in the news in July, MDMA and psilocybin was legalized as a medicine. So like cannabis back in 2016, when it was first legalized, it's very slow moving. A lot of issues need to be overcome. We need to figure out the exact framework and how it all works. But we're looking into it, and we're really excited to take part in this industry once it kind of opens up a bit more. So we're looking now about how it can be involved. Is it the prescription side of things through our clinic? We're looking at actually getting a dispensary that I'll talk about soon. Is it the dispensing of these medicines side, the clinical trial side, but definitely actively looking at this. We do have the names already sorted. We actually got the business name MDMA. We also have the business name Dr. MDMA, which was, don't know how we got those, but yeah, so we've got all that prepared, ready to go for when the time comes. Again, we don't want to distract ourselves from the core focus now. So we'll only jump on this when the time's right and when the resources are there. So use of funds. The main use of funds, if we're to raise $1 million, we're going to realistically, the most of that would go on medicine and keeping up with demand. We need to keep up with the sales we're currently facing, and it's a good problem to have. So first chunk of money, keeping up with demand. The next bit of money, we're going to be launching a new medicine range, some unique products such as our THC-V and CBN products. Now, probably a good time to talk about cannabinoids, and we've already discussed terpenes, but cannabinoids, the main ingredient in cannabis. So THC and CBD are cannabinoids. We all know of those. There's actually hundreds of these in the cannabis plant. You got CBN, CBC, CBG, all these different ingredients. And again, like terpenes, they all play a role in the effect that we receive from consuming it. So when we talk about THC-V, that can be really good at suppressing appetite. So we're looking at trying to have products, one, it can help with things where people are obviously got eating issues and things like that, but also from THC use when it can increase hunger and appetite and people aren't wanting that. A bit of THC-V could be used to kind of minimize that side effect as well. CBN is a very strong cannabinoid for sleep. And so we're looking at trying to introduce a CBN vape cartridge for sleep without any THC needed. It's actually worth mentioning, which I didn't actually touch on earlier, our CBG range. So we've actually just introduced in the last couple of months the first true full spectrum CBG range in Australia. So again, it's another unique cannabinoid that hasn't been utilized, and it's actually the mother of all cannabinoids. So it starts off as CBGA, and every other cannabinoid is actually, I guess, made from that. So not made from humans in the plant, it just converts. So CBGA turns into THC and CBD, etc. So very, very strong cannabinoid. And we're utilizing this now in conjunction with the CBD blend through our oils and a vape cartridge as well. So great results so far for things like pain, sleep, anxiety. And we've actually got some people using it for brain cancer as well, which is a very interesting space we're looking at. And psoriasis also is another area that CBG can help. So some unique conditions, but also helping the main areas of pain, sleep, anxiety, but in a more effective way. So it can bring down the dose needed, thus reducing the cost. So not only treating new areas, but helping being better effective at treatment areas that we're already doing. Also, would love to set up a cannabis dispensary in WA. Now, this is a big project we're looking at doing, and a very exciting one indeed. So right now, through our clinic, we're sending thousands of prescriptions around the country to many different pharmacies. And we're actually noticing a bit of a gap in the market, definitely in WA. There's no cannabis-focused pharmacy here. They're all obviously just standard pharmacies who are inundated with business as usual, with every other medicine going around. And so when I go talk to pharmacists, even for 15 minutes, there's already a line out the door of patients waiting for the medicines, and it just feels like it's all very rushed and we're in the way and things like that. Cannabis being a new medicine as well, there's extra time needed to talk to the patients about it all and provide that right service and education. And when you're going to a normal pharmacy, it can just get in the way. And so we want to, and it's nothing, that's no fault of their own, you know, they're just far too busy. And so we'd like to open up a dispensary in WA, provide a much needed, reliable, compassionate, and knowledgeable resource to patients in need. And we want to really create a cannabis and hemp hub, a centralized area where people can come, collaborate, educate, we can learn together, we can get doctors doing seminars there, we can have companies coming and collaborating and working together. We can meditate, we can medicate. We're looking at doing a vape lounge where patients can use their medically registered vaporizers, can be shown by the doctor how to use it, and just really kind of break down that stigma and show people that we don't need to be having this medicine behind closed doors and hiding. We need to break the stigma down and realize it's a wonderful product. It's helping so many people. It's helping us get back to work. It's helping us sleep. It's helping us feel better. It is nothing we need to be ashamed of. So I'm proud of it. I want to put it in the public eye. I want to make it mainstream and stop hiding behind doors with it. So yeah, that's what this cannabis dispensary will be about. It's also going to allow us to get involved in that MDMA and psilocybin space I mentioned as well. So if it ends up being dispensary pharmacies, we can play a role in that as well. Other use for the funds, as I mentioned, was introducing new products, the dispensary, and then continuing our clinical trial program. So the next step, as I said, for the concussion one is our observational trial through MediCann clinics, and then starting our Parkinson's and motor neuron. So really looking forward to getting those started. I already know that it helps. We've been helping people for years now through the clinic, and I've been helping people for decades with these conditions. So we know it works. We've just got to find the perfect formula to bring it the cost down, and then put it through trials, get it registered, and hopefully get it registered and make it a mainstream medicine. And that's really the important bit, as I mentioned earlier, about that, the big picture, the long-term plan, 5 to 10-year plan, product registration, global licensing opportunities. Now, a little bit on the dispensary. Actually, it's worth noting this is not a real picture. This is a render that we made up. I think ours will look even better. But the dispensary will allow us to be vertically integrated as well. So create a streamlined process. As I said, we're already producing the medicines, we're doing the prescriptions. So if we can also be involved in the dispensing of the medicines too, it can become streamlined for the patient and just be a better process for them. We can also then be dispensing other brands' medicines. So we'll be increasing our revenue or additional revenue streams and hopefully some higher growth as well by selling other brands' medicines as well as our own, and at increased margins as well. As I mentioned earlier, the idea here is, create a centralized hub. So I really want it not to just be a pharmacy, but a place that people know in WA, this is the cannabis place to go to. There'll be a hemp cafe selling a lot of hemp foods and hemp smoothies, things like that as well. So yeah, that's the plan for that. Big plans, but I think it's needed. Again, we've got 3 to 4 pharmacies in Victoria that we send scripts to, all within 15 minutes of each other, and they are all far too busy. They've got long wait lists. People spend sometimes days to get through them on the phone. So that just goes to show the demand that's there. So as the demand's only going to keep growing as well as awareness improves and increases. So I think it's much needed in WA and around the country as well. So if it works here, there's no reason we can't roll that out nationwide. Yeah, so that's pretty much it for now. I know I chat a million miles an hour. I'm sorry, I do get very excited. So happy to repeat things if I need to, and look forward to any questions, because that's when I can really start to elaborate on things and share some info.
Awesome. Thank you so much for such a great presentation, Matt. That was awesome. Please, everyone, let your questions flood through now. As I mentioned, just in that little Q&A bubble down the bottom, just fire them through. I might kick us off though, Matt. I would love to know how big the current market is for medicinal cannabis in Australia. Like, what's the current demand?
Yeah, there's a large market. It is growing. It's hard to know the exact patient number. We don't have that. We can kind of see how many prescription approvals have been done. There was a news article the other day saying there was 1 million patients. We're not there yet. It's 1 million approvals, 1 million prescriptions, I guess, being handed out. But the growth has been phenomenal. So, the first year, you're probably looking at about 50 patients, we're now looking at hundreds of thousands of patients. You're literally getting thousands and thousands of approvals a day. So it's rapidly growing. In terms of dollar figure as well, everywhere I look, it is a different figure, anywhere from 500 million to 5 billion, things like that. So take that with a grain of salt. But all I can say, it is growing. in our little cannabis bubble, I feel like we're there. Everyone knows about it. I step outside this office and realize no one even knows it's legal yet, which is good and bad. It's the bad side of it is, it's preventing some growth, but the good bit is the growth we already have is from a couple of percent of the country. No one even knows it's available. So imagine once it becomes fully known. Hard bit is we can't advertise. So there's a fine line of getting the word out there and also breaching advertising laws. But that's where clinical trials helps, because we can talk about trials and that then gets on the news. You might have seen us last year get around on the news a little bit about our concussion trials, and that really helps to get the word out. But the market's growing rapidly, but in terms of people out there knowing about it, not many yet. So it's, lots of growth to come.
That's so exciting. No, that's great. In terms of growing, obviously you have so many different avenues that are generating growth, right, like, and revenue right now. What is your strategy to continue growing them? I mean, you also mentioned that you're in a point where it's hard to even meet the demand, but beyond that, what's the dream?
So, well, the short view of this will be, obviously, once we know we can keep up with demand, is start obviously going out, repping more to doctors, getting the word out there. As a little example, so around 6 months ago, we had another big tick up of supply. So I went and told one more clinic about our products. They got our products on board and that doubled our sales overnight.
Wow.
It's actually a company that was on Birchal. So they've literally doubled sales by just one email. So that's why I prevent that growth, because I do 5 emails and we're going to be in a bit of trouble. And for me, again, it's not about selling out and having record growth. It's actually being reliable as a medicine company. It's not chocolate. So for me, I really do take it seriously. We've got 2-month-old babies at our clinic that we're treating for epilepsy. And I think of that patient with all these decisions I make. If she ran out of medicine, she's having seizures again. She can get brain damage. It's not a joke. Some people talk about, oh, it's sold out, this is a great product. For me, that's not a great medicine. Medicine needs to be available. So the short-term thing, I do ramble, and get sidetracked, but the short-term thing, once we know the supply is there, is just to approach some more clinics and doctors that are prescribing. Then we start educating new doctors. We start going on to ones that aren't even aware of cannabis yet, and we become their trusted supplier or their trusted brand. And then that long-term view for the bigger picture is the product registration. Once we can be telling the country and the world about actual IP and proof of evidence, then we're talking a much larger market, much wider acceptance as well. But I don't want to make it seem like there's no market right now. I'm sure you've seen some of the numbers that we're already doing, and they're actually, we can get much higher than that. Some comparisons and some of our peers in the industry, some of our peers are doing $10 million a month. So, and we're just 1 year behind them. Now, don't look at that as a forecast or anything, but it just shows when I talk about a small market, it's not a small market, it's still very large. But when you talk about pharmaceuticals, it's ridiculously big. But so our plans there, short term, get our brands out there more by repping. Long term is the clinical trials for greater awareness.
Of course. Thank you. And you mentioned a little bit about like reaching out to doctors. Are there any plans to kind of really push that, the education and lobbying with GPs?
Yeah, definitely. Yep. I mean, I used to do a lot of it. Last year, 2 years ago, I was doing it in a room of 300 doctors at once, but that's when I had to really realize I got to slow it down a bit. It's I hate overpromising and delivering. So again, if you run out of a medicine, that doctor will not prescribe it again. And so soon as I keep saying soon as we've just secured that supply agreement. So we've just ticked that box. That's all going to be coming in the next few months. And so we can start to really scale up. And the use of funds from this raise will be to strengthen our sales and support team. So not only about getting doctors aware of our products, but they do need a lot of hand-holding along the way, because it's not just about our medicine, it's the prescribing process, because it's not the same as another medicine. It's a few different steps along the way. So it's about nurturing them all the way along. There are sometimes high costs with that, though. Just to speak to a doctor, you got to buy them lunch. A friend of mine that works for another cannabis company said one rep of theirs spends $1,000 a week just on lunch for doctors alone. Again, I don't waste money. Somehow the doctors buy me lunch, which is great. But for me, I don't, unless that's really coming back in high sales, I don't see a point in that right now. I'd rather choose wisely about who we target. And again, as I said, one email to a new clinic doubled our sales. And I'm talking, an extra $300,000 a month. So a lot of low-hanging fruit we can address there. We can even be scaling up our own clinic. The good thing is I sometimes train up doctors and they end up coming to work for us anyway. So it's a nice little kind of ecosystem we've got. But yeah, the plans there are, it's pretty much once we've got our demand there, we grow our sales team and get out there. But I am one of the I can't spend a lot of my time repping, but I did back in the day train up a lot of doctors. The politicians, or the doctors are now politicians, I trained them up. So I'm quite heavily involved in that. On that as well, I guess it's worth mentioning, I do get invited to Parliament House, and we get invited to help, frame out the laws around it. It's great being a new industry. The laws and rules are always changing for the good, and we get invited to try and speak at those things and help frame it out. So it's a really exciting space. If we were in the Coca-Cola, the beverage industry, the soft drink industry, it's pretty set. It's been around for a while, but cannabis is so new that we can actually make changes, which is great.
Yeah,
Frustrating that
of
things aren't
course.
perfect already, but great that we can actually be involved in the changes.
And on that note, if Australia were to legalise cannabis recreationally, how do you think this would affect MediCann and its investors?
Very well, positively, I'd say. We're actually pushing for this. We're the people fighting for this legalization. The way I see it is some people are worried that if it's legalized recreationally, people won't need to go to the doctor for it. Now, in some cases, that's going to be true. If someone's just using cannabis to relax after work, they might not need to use the doctor. They can go to the store and get that, and that's perfectly fine. What this will also do is open up awareness, open up more people using it, and the people that need it medicinally for seizure control, for autism, for Parkinson's, motor neuron cancer, things like that. You're going to want to go to the doctor to know you're getting the exact same formula every time. Not only that, but down the line, when we do have registered medicines, as I said, they could be on the PBS, which means they'll be $40 instead of hundreds. So price will be much better going through the doctor. So there will still be a use for both, but definitely we'll actually be involved in the recreational space as well. I'd love to get our growing license there. That's my area of expertise, growing great cannabis. So, and craft cannabis too. So with medicinal, it's more about repeating the same medicine over and over and over. So less about growing a really great strain, but making sure it's repeatable. Whereas a recreational side will be a really great product. It doesn't matter if it slightly changes batch to batch. It's okay. And so it's really hard with the plant to keep it consistent. So for me, that's a positive. It's a win-win. We'll get involved in the recreational space, but it'll also increase the market as a whole and bring more awareness to
Yeah,
cannabis and bring up extra revenue for the medicinal side as well.
absolutely. I mean, you are an incredibly diverse company, so I have no doubt that you would dive straight in. Are there any legislative hurdles that need to be overcome before the cannabis hub could be set up in Perth, or are we already there?
No, we're there. And now, so when we talk about, so a friend of mine asked me this as well, maybe the word dispensary got them confused as well. So when we talk about dispensary, it's a pharmacy. It's not a dispensary where you just walk in like in America and buy any cannabis you want. It's a cannabis pharmacy. So yeah, that's already legal, already can be done. It's just a matter of finding we're looking at the moment at different places. We're thinking potentially places like on the water at Scarborough Beach, lots of foot traffic coming through, but places where people want to actually hang out and consuming their medicine or go to the cafe we might have there and things like that. But no, it can be open now. It's just a matter of planning and
Wow.
funds.
Yeah. And in an ideal world where the funds are in your hand, when would you be looking to open this dispensary?
Yeah, early next year, or probably first half of next year. Obviously, we're in the planning phase now. It also does depend, and dependent on the funds raised, whether we're just looking for a site that exists and fitting it out within there, or building from scratch and really creating an amazing place. I don't want a boring white stale pharmacy. I want something that's quite exciting. With our clinic that I built myself, again, I'm a stinge. I don't like paying people that's not needed. So I built our clinic and literally just put a few shelves in, a few plants, some beautiful pictures, nice colours in the room. And we've already had other doctors come and say, can you fit our rooms out? Because it's the prettiest rooms I've seen. It took me half a
Wow.
day and $200. And so I don't know why everyone doesn't do it. And so the pharmacy with a bit more than $200 will be able to make an amazing place that is inviting. Yeah, it attracts people to it. So yeah, no, it's an exciting space to be looking into.
Absolutely. No, that's great. Um, do you have any plans for low dose products that will be available over the counter?
Yes, I do. So actually a bit on that. So you might have heard a year or two ago, the news got a little bit wrong where they said that CBD is now S3, which means over the counter through like a pharmacy prescription, kind of like codeine and things like that. Now, yes, that's true. It happened, but what needs to happen before it actually is doable is clinical trials and product registration. So if we were to get one of our products that's fits the criteria, which is a certain kind of strength, certain profile, and certain dosing limits, then it would be able to become an S3. Now, I haven't talked with a few companies around this. It is high cost to do this. So if we can collaborate with another that they fund it and I introduce the IP, that would be a great way to do that. We are in talks with a few of the larger cannabis companies in the country, and they're all very keen. I've actually got the secret sauce, and so there's a lot of unknowns where the regulators make a rule, and because cannabis is so tricky with all the moving parts and all the different cannabinoids and terpenes, it's a bit hard to know exactly what they're talking about, but I understand it very well. And a lot of the S3 trials that have happened have actually failed. They haven't beaten the placebo. Now, there's three bits of that I won't really get into now, but I'm really confident that we can overcome that with one of the formulas we've developed, and the TGA have told me, yes, that is an S3 formula. Then it's really all about funds. So it can be a few $1 million or more to run those kind of trials. So whether we did it or partnered up with another and then share revenue split, things like that. But yes, we do have plans for that. Again, it's not in our own right now. It'll be a bit of a distraction with the funds. We need to make sure we can afford medicine. But yeah, with the right partner on that, I'm very excited to do that. There's been 4 companies to date try. No one's done it, succeeded. I used to think, we're kind of behind with the race there. They've got it, but they all failed. So the race is still on, but we do have plans to move forward, yes.
Fantastic. And in terms of, making more products in the future, is there anything that you have on your mind that you're really excited to dive into?
Yeah, so we touched on it a little bit earlier with the unique cannabinoid side of things. So our CBG range we've already just brought out, and then the new one's going to be the CBN and THCV range. So probably doesn't mean a lot to most people. It just sounds like a bunch of letters, but it's more about just something the country doesn't have. No one's seen these products, and so we're going to be able to find some unique conditions they help and improve efficacy, which is the effectiveness of the medicine, so bring the cost down. So you might find someone's having some great effects from a medicine, but it's costing them $1,000 a month, and they can change formula to one of our unique ones, and it might have the same effect, but at half the dose, and so bring the cost down, things like that. In regards to the really unique profiles we've got, some of them have got no data in the world. There's no trials or anything. So it's super unique, but the thing is, all these ingredients are in cannabis already. They're just smaller amounts of it. So when I talk about a THCV product or a CBG product, that's the dominant ingredient. So other products, we have trace amounts of these ingredients. So people are already consuming them. They're all safe and things like that. It's just not at the highest level of that product. So it's always about high THC or high CBD. And I think people just look at those ingredients as the most useful because they're at the higher levels. But it's not to say that 2 milligrams of THCV isn't as effective as 100 milligrams of THC in certain areas. So it's really good now we can start to actually do this research and do the trials on these products and figure out what's actually happening. So before 2016, it was illegal. We couldn't touch it. We couldn't research it. Now we can. So we've got a lot of learning to do. And the best bit is, all these formulas we're using already, it's just version 1, the most basic cannabis formulas we've found, just standard THC products, standard CBD, and it is helping so many people. We are changing the lives of so many people. Some of the stories through the clinic are amazing. The 2-month-old baby I was mentioning, she's actually 2 years and 2 months old now, but when she first came to us, she was 2 months. She was having 20 to 30 seizures a day, literally since the first dose. 0 seizures. It was amazing. And again, this isn't a claim or not saying it's going to do it for everyone, but these are the kind of effects we get. Or with pain, someone's on 5 different medicines. They've been on them for 12, 15 years, and they're now able to reduce them all, get off all of them, or maybe just be on one of them and half the dose. So a lot of those side effects are now gone. Quality of life's improved. And this is all, again, just basic version 1 cannabis. And so in the little movie that we made where I talked about phase 2 of medicinal cannabis in Australia, that's talking about all these other ingredients and really utilizing the whole plant, not just looking at THC and CBD. So yeah, very exciting. We've got lots of research to do, but lots of exciting things to discover.
Awesome. Somebody also asked, would you be expanding into cookies or gummies?
Yeah, interesting. Like cookies, no. Well, potentially, but shelf life is an issue with food, obviously. So medicine, we need to try and make it last many years. Cookies probably won't last too long. Gummies, we do have access to gummies. I can bring them in today if you'd like me to. If you invest $1 million, I will. No, kidding. The thing with gummies is, again, I don't like just chucking products to the market unless we know it's really needed and it's not just a couple of people asking it for a bit of fun. The gummies we have access to right now are CBD gummies. So that's really going to be more so for kids, I'd think, where they can't swallow the oil or a capsule, things like that. Again, some people will say, yeah, let's just bring in some gummies, and it's a little bit more of a semi-recreational market. Nothing against that at all, but still I want to make sure we're doing the right thing and it's all medicinal. Gummies definitely needed, as I said, for children. Cookies, a little bit hard to get a doctor to prescribe a chocolate cookie, I'd say. But that's when the recreational space comes. We'll definitely be playing in that. I thought you were going to ask about the cookies genetics, which we do have, but anyway.
Oh, awesome. Thank you. So we've had quite a few questions here on future projections, whether you're wanting to list on the ASX, return on investments, and I might just jump in and handle that one for you. So a little bit of context on how we run these offers as a licensed intermediary. So ASIC takes a firm view about future projections here, whether that be product, revenue, or return on investment, as a lot of the ventures are super early stage and don't have quite like large trading histories. Often it's misleading to include information in these offers that could be considered speculative, for example, projected growth or revenue. So what investors do receive in the offer document is the last 12 months of financial statements, sometimes more if the company choose to provide it, so that potential investors have the option to see what financial position the company is in, their revenue, accomplishments, customer base to date, and a plan of what they wish to do with the funding. The other part of the offer document is the risk section. So the company is raising capital, and it's of course important to also factor the risks in when considering your investment. So while we can't include any forward projections in both the offer document and here, at the risk of being misleading, Matt, I would love to hear more about this deal that you already have locked away, this $24 million deal, and whether you have any other growth already confirmed in the pipeline.
Yeah, perfect. With the some of those past questions, can I talk about potential exit strategies, or is that future?
Still future, yeah.
Yeah, in regards to the well, there's very annoying sun coming right in my eyes as well. But I'll step back a little. In regards to the offtake agreement we had, so we just secured a $24 million 5-year exclusive agreement with our existing partner ECS. So they're growers in Victoria on the Murray River. We've already been buying from them for years, and it was just that we had such amazing results with one flower and it was growing rapidly. I wanted to make sure we secure it for the next 5 years. So that's what that was all about. So yeah, that was for, I'm not allowed to mention the names of our products, unfortunately. So you'll notice as well, just a quick little disclaimer, on our video, on our offer document, even now, I'm never mentioning the names of the medicines. I mentioned the brand name, but I can't mention the specific products or even show you images of them, which is really unfortunate because it's kind of everything we do. But the most popular flower we have and sell, that's the one that I just secured that 5 tons of for the next 5 years. So we've got plenty of that to go. We've also the New Zealand deal as well. They're large growers there, so they're going to be able to boost up our supplies as well, but different strains. So it's not about necessarily just saying, oh, we've got supply agreement with some flower in general. It's got to be the right product and something we actually want. So there's lots of offers for us. Lots of people wanting to sell us the medicine, but I'm very, very picky. It's got to be top quality. It's got to be reliable in regards to consistency and always available every other month and every other year. So I've said no to many products over the years, just making sure that it's here for the long term and they don't overpromise, underdeliver. So that 5-year deal is a lot of work has gone into that, many years as well. So very proud to have that one. And what was the second part of the question? Sorry.
Do you have any other confirmed growth in the pipeline, like any contracts signed?
Yeah, well, just about to, just reminded me, actually, I've got to sign that other agreement. I'll sign it tomorrow with Tea God, so the Green Organic Dutchman in Canada. A really, really good grower there. It's pretty triple A class, we call it. So yeah, premium flower. We're going to be bringing that in. So we're looking at one of their cultivars called Sugar Cookies, which is when I was talking about the cookies genetics. It's not a cookie, it's a flower, but it's Sugar Cookies is the strain. And yeah, we're just about to tomorrow sign exclusivity on that as well and bring that in. The Puro deal that I mentioned, the New Zealand flower. And we've also in talks with some suppliers, other suppliers in Canada and Israel as well. So lots of products out there. Again, it's making sure we get the right ones for the long term. And then that's all around flower. We're also introducing through ECS, our current partners as well, our THC vape and our THC oil as well. So they're pretty common products that get prescribed to many of our patients. And so we haven't even had a THC oil on the market yet. So again, introducing that, it means that we can actually, the same patient gets many products. They might get a THC flower for day, THC flower for night. Now, flower inhalation is for that rapid onset. It affects you straight away. So breakthrough pain or a panic attack, things like that. Then they might want oils for that maintenance dosing, the long lasting, slower onset, but longer lasting. So through the night and things like that. So a patient might be on our flower for the day, another company's flower for the nighttime, and then they might be on our THC oil as well. And so by introducing a new product to the market, a new delivery mechanism, we don't have to find a whole new patient as well to generate a new sale. It might just be more of our products to that one patient and then find new patients too. So it's kind of, it's a good little scenario to be in. And I don't want it to sound like we're just chucking all these medicines on someone, if they need it, obviously. But it's really a really handy thing. If I had two different kind of a chocolate bar and candy, someone's probably just going to buy one of them. But with these medicines, it's actually multiple can be given to the same patient. So some good growth can come from existing patient bases already.
That all sounds super exciting. We've had a question here. Why is MediCann Health different to other hemp or medicinal cannabis companies?
Yeah, good question. Well, one bit was in the question there, I guess, other hemp companies or cannabis companies. So we're both. We're a bit of everything. But no, the main areas I'd say is one is our diversification. So we've got obviously the medicine side of things, the product development and clinical trials as well, and then also the non-prescription offerings with the food, wellness capsules, things like that as well, and a hemp farm. So we're involved in the agronomy and strain development. So yeah, it's just more about the diversification. And then I'd probably say more around the areas that we're looking into as well for our research. So concussion, Parkinson's, motor neuron. I haven't heard of other Australian companies working on those areas yet, or definitely not concussion or motor neuron. So yeah, probably areas of research and the diversified nature of the business. And it's interesting too, I'll touch on this. It's really handy having these different areas, because if I was just a product company, a medicine product company, we'd have competitors in regards to other brands would be our competitors. But because we're a clinic, they're our collaborators and friends because we prescribe their products as well. So there's all these different ways we can actually collaborate and work with our peers or competitors, whatever you want to look at it. But it allows us to have good relationships with everyone in the industry. When we have the pharmacy, that's going to open that up even more. So it's I think it's really handy being so diversified, but not that diversified that it's just a distraction. It's all within hemp and cannabis, and it creates multiple business opportunities with everyone else in the industry.
Awesome. Great to hear. Thank you. We've had just quite a few more questions come through, which I'm just going to jump in and handle here. So with people asking about the return on investment, I'm just going to reiterate that we can't, we are limited under ASIC's regulations to talk about return on investment, as that is it could be considered misleading. It is actually projective information. So you feel free to reach out to Matt via email for any further information about this. We have a question here about dividends as well. And this will also depend on each company and its dividend policy, which would be outlined in the documents that are available when the offer goes live. So many companies that make a CSF offer are new and early stage, rapidly growing ventures. So this means many of these companies in their early stages, they may not be profitable, although MediCann is, which is fantastic, but they may also choose to reinvest any profits back into the business to fund the growth rather than pay those profits to shareholders as dividends. So when it's early stage, you're tossing up between growing the business or paying the shareholders, and sometimes something's got to give there. We've had another question here about trading shares. So let me just reiterate this. In a CSF raise, you are getting fully like ordinary shares, just the same as Matt, for example. They are in a private or publicly unlisted company through the CSF. So they're not listed on the Australian Stock Exchange, for example, or any other stock exchange. So therefore, shares acquired under the CSF offer cannot be traded on the ASX unless the company undertakes an EIPO or exits on the ASX. So when you make an investment offer under CSF, you should consider this as a medium to long-term investment. So you're purchasing shares in an unlisted company, and they're generally considered illiquid. You may not be easily able to trade them or transfer them when you want to. But the benefit is you're getting the opportunity, which you didn't have before this regime came into play, to invest in like rapidly growing, like small businesses. Like this is a really exciting stage to come on board as an investor, obviously taking on all of the risks that come with it as well. And like, please read the CSF risk warning and the offer document before making any kind of investment. Another question here about exits. So you may be relatively new to the equity crowdfunding platform. So as I mentioned, you are buying fully owned ordinary shares in like a company, private or publicly unlisted. And there may be an opportunity in the future for shareholders to exit the business. For example, a trade of the company, a listing on the ASX, private equity investment in the business, or a share buyback by the company. But you'll have to make your decision to invest based on the information in the offer document when it's available in just under 2 weeks' time, and can be considered a risk warning if ever part of that campaign.
And on that one as
Um,
well, I want to add, like for me, I really only want people to invest if they really can and really want to. I'm a little bit different as a founder. I've actually told some investors not to because, for example, they had 50,000 in the bank, they wanted to put 40,000 in. I said, no, that's not appropriate. I want people to be very comfortable with their investment and not regret it later on. And so do keep in mind it is a medium to long-term hold. If you need to sell some shares in a few months, I don't think it's appropriate to be investing. I don't want to have everyone stressed about that because I take it all personally and I really care for all our shareholders. And if people just jumped in today and then needed that money in 6 months' time, I feel that pressure. So I really, again, we might lose some investment from it, but I want people to be happy with their investment choice and not actually just jumping on and not thinking about it properly. So it is a medium to long-term hold. I've even had some people saying, they're on the pension and have no money and they want to invest. And I'm just saying, you can help us in other ways. You can help promote the company and things like that. But I really only want people to invest if they can just put that money aside and it's not going to stress them out in the next kind of 6 to 12 months and things like that.
and Matt, I would love to know, would you be offering any rewards during this process?
Yeah, we're going to do the terpene gin that we invented. So that'll be one of the rewards, just figuring out what value that'll do. Last time we did, it's quite handy because we've got the over-the-counter products with the foods and things like that. We can offer those. Unfortunately, we can't be offering, clinic consults or medicines and things like that. That's not appropriate or legal. But we can be offering, some of our foods and things like that as well. So there'll be discounts for the website and stuff like that. They'll be offering for the rewards. And actually, if anyone, I've always thought about things as well, like doing meetups. People can come and meet the team, and we, have investor nights together and things like that. If those things are of interest to people, let me know. I'm more than happy to kind of do those things as well.
Yeah, we have another question here, which is really lovely. People saying they're very much on board, and they've loved, chatting with you previously, Matt. They're saying their partner uses your products, and they would love to know whether there are any future employment opportunities for shareholders. And I also might like to layer on that. Yeah, are there any kind of strategic partnerships that you'd be looking to form with shareholders as well?
Yeah, definitely, yes. So definitely need to add to the team. I can't wait for that moment. So that's what the next use of funds. So first chunk of money, medicine. Next chunk of money, build the staff as well around us. So more sales support, then obviously management around, hemp brothers things like that as well. So definitely looking to build the team. Lots of different areas, whether it's, the growing at the hemp farm or sales and marketing behind the scenes, or, I need a CEO as well if anyone wants to join. But yeah, lots of opportunity in all different ways. Designers, we need lots of things. So definitely opportunities there. And I love the fact that last year's Birchal raise, I could go through everyone's emails, and if there was company names, I could get a bit of an idea of where they worked, and we did get some business through there. We even actually, through this last year, got offered the rights to the Bob Marley brand. Haven't taken it yet. So we've actually already got Marley and Bob spelt differently, but we do have the rights for that, and things like that. And so it was really cool. Some unique things like that came from it. So yeah, if people have jump on board and they want to offer any support or ways we could collaborate, 100%, I'm all for it. We're all about collaborating, working together.
Awesome. We have a question here. Are you concerned at all about the state of the cannabis industry in Canada, if you know much about it?
Not really. It's a bit of a different one there. They get, I'm assuming they're talking about when it's all kind of just bottomed out. It's really, really cheap there for cannabis. It's there's too much cannabis there, really. The recreational is all opened up and people aren't really going medicinal because they're all getting it recreationally. Now on that, over there, you don't actually get a script for a certain product for a certain ailment. It's just, here's your cannabis ticket, go and buy some cannabis. Same as America kind of thing. And so that's not really a medical system. That's, you can choose whatever product you want and it might actually keep you up instead of put you to sleep. So we don't really compare against that because earlier when I mentioned, I think if we've got recreational and medicinal, there's definitely a need for both systems here, because our medicinal system is actually a one of, okay, you've got autism, this is the formula you need, here you go. So Canada and America, other places haven't really got that. So why would they go to the pharmacy if they could just go to the dispensary and get it? There's no, clinical trials done there, so there's no government subsidies, things like that as well. But no, not really worried about the state of it there. In reality, as we pick up here, we're going to be a large exporter as well. I'd never export until we definitely have Australia sorted with demand. But the best thing of Australia is we're best and worst. We're very strict, very hard to get things over the line with compliance, etc. But then when you do, it's world class. It's gold standard around the world. So as other countries legalize it or need product, it's very easy to export to them, because we're very, very strict when it comes to standards and growing and all that kind of stuff. So if Canada falls apart, it's kind of a good way for us to sell them our cannabis and pick them back up. But no, we're not worried about what's going on there, really.
Okay, no worries. We've just got two more questions here. One, someone's saying, if they forced you to make a prediction, when do you think cannabis will become legalized in WA?
I've been saying 3 to 5 years for 3 to 5 years now, but it's a hard one. I do have, we've got some politicians in Parliament House, Dr. Brian Walker and Sophia, that I talked to about it all. It's not going to happen in this term. Oh, well, sorry, I'm talking state actually in WA at the moment. Won't happen this term, we've been told. But again, I think these things can change overnight. If someone in power, if a relative gets very sick and they realise cannabis helped them or something, and their mind can be changed like that, it's so who knows? But 3 to 5 years, I'm fighting every day for it. But we'll see. It's really hard to pick. But yeah, I mean, look, I never thought that MDMA or psilocybin would be legalized as soon as it did. So things can change pretty quick. But 3 to 5, we'll say.
Exciting times. And just the last one here, can you please expand on the vape cartridges and when will they be available?
Yeah, I keep looking here because I want to show you it, but I can't. They're available. Well, sorry, the CBG vape cartridge is available now. Oh, almost named it. Yes, that's available now. That's probably as much as I can say about that. I can't really talk about getting access to it, etc. Our THC vape is going to be ready probably in about a month, I'd say. All designs, formulas, all developed. It's literally just getting manufactured and made. So yeah, going through, and when we make products, we're going to get it all shelf life tested, things like that. So it's going through those final bits there.
Awesome. And where can people find your products, or if they have an issue that they would love to talk to one of your doctors about, where can they organise this?
So if you just need to see a doctor in general, we're a medical clinic. We can't really talk about us being a C-word clinic. It's like us saying we're a Valium clinic kind of thing. So if you just need to speak to one of our doctors about anything in general, yes, MediCann Clinics is the company. So www.medicanclinics.com.au. We can just email me as well, or the website that's here, MediCann Health. There'll be a link on there as well. Got to be very careful the way I kind of explain that one. And in terms of our products, so our non-prescription products, hempbrothers.com.au, endoscent.com.au is our online sites, and we do have stockists around the country as well. Not a huge amount at the moment. We used to have hundreds with our pet side of things. We scaled that right back to focus on the medicine side. So mainly at the moment, it's really online and e-commerce. But again, when we get some more sales team, we'll be able to ramp that back up again as well. Medicine products, that's just available through pharmacies through a prescription. So you can't obviously buy that from me. It's get a script, go to the pharmacy, and they'll sell you the medicine.
Awesome. Thank you. Now, that concludes tonight's webinar. Thank you so much, Matt, for such an awesome presentation. And thank you to everyone for joining this evening's investor Q&A. As I mentioned earlier, a recording of this video will be sent around to everyone who registered, just in case anyone missed out. Now, the expression of interest campaign for MediCann is open for about another week and a half. So if you haven't jumped in already, hop over to the Birchal platform, check out the pitch video, it's awesome, and the company profile. So as I mentioned, the early access offer campaign will be open on, let me get this date right, on the 31st of October, so in a week and a half. So make sure you get your expression interest in to have access to the offer document and the key terms of the offer before it goes live to the public. Thanks again, Matt. It's been great. If there's anything you'd like to say to wrap things up, and then we'll log off.
Yeah, perfect. No, thank you everyone for taking the time. And yeah, if you've expressed your interest, thank you very much. I appreciate it. And I'm always here to chat to you. Feel free to call me up, email me. I'm an open book, as I'm sure you've been able to tell by now.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
Yeah.